Southport, a charming seaside town known for its pier and sandy beaches, has always been a place where families come to unwind and enjoy the simple pleasures of life. The town's picturesque views and serene environment make it a perfect getaway from the hustle and bustle of city life. The air here carries the scent of salt, mingling with the sound of seagulls that seem to sing a song of peace and tranquility. The gentle waves lap against the shore, creating a soothing symphony that calms the soul. Life in Southport usually moves at a slower pace, a stark contrast to the bustling cities just a short distance away. Here, people take the time to greet each other, to share a smile, and to enjoy the beauty of their surroundings. It's a place where time seems to stand still, allowing its residents to savor each moment. But on a day that began like any other, the peace was shattered. The tranquility that Southport was known for was abruptly replaced by chaos and confusion. The flashing lights of police cars and the sound of sirens broke the usual calm, signaling that something terrible had happened. A darkness descended upon Southport, leaving an indelible mark on its heart. The skies seemed to mirror the town's mood, dark and foreboding, as if nature itself was mourning the loss. A murder had been committed, a life taken in a senseless act of violence. The crime scene tape fluttered in the wind, a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the suddenness with which it can be taken away. The victim, a young musician with a promising future, was found lifeless, leaving the community reeling in shock and disbelief. He was known for his infectious laughter and his love for music, a bright light in the lives of those who knew him. The tranquility of the seaside town was replaced with a palpable sense of unease, as fear and suspicion gripped the hearts of its residents. The once lively streets were now filled with worried faces, each person wondering who could have committed such a heinous act. The news of the murder spread like wildfire, each whispered word amplifying the sense of dread. Conversations that once revolved around the weather or local events now centered on the tragedy, with each person adding their own theories and fears to the mix. The victim, known for his infectious laughter and love for music, had become another statistic, a grim reminder of the fragility of life. His memory was honored with a makeshift memorial, where candles flickered in the night and a guitar lay silent, a poignant symbol of the music that had been silenced. The community, once bound by a shared sense of peace, now grappled with a collective trauma. Meetings were held to discuss safety measures, and neighbors who once felt secure now looked over their shoulders, wary of the unknown threat that lurked among them. The streets, once alive with the sounds of children playing and neighbors exchanging greetings, fell silent, as if the town itself was holding its breath, waiting for answers. The playgrounds were empty, the laughter of children replaced by an eerie silence that seemed to echo the town's grief. The murder had cast a long shadow over Southport, leaving its residents to question the safety and security they had always taken for granted. The sense of community that once defined the town was now overshadowed by fear and uncertainty, as everyone waited for the day when the shadow of murder would finally lift. Axel Rudakubana was an enigma to many in Southport. His presence in the small town was like a whisper in the wind, barely noticeable yet impossible to ignore. People often wondered about the man who seemed to carry the weight of the world on his shoulders. He was a solitary figure, rarely seen engaging in the everyday rhythms of the town. While others mingled and shared their lives, Axel remained on the periphery, a silent observer of the world around him. His isolation was both a choice and a consequence of his mysterious past. His past was shrouded in mystery, his presence marked by a quiet intensity that both intrigued and unsettled those who crossed his path. There were stories, of course, whispered in hushed tones, but none could say for certain what was true and what was mere speculation. Some whispered of a troubled childhood, of a darkness that followed him like a shadow. They spoke of a young boy who had seen too much, who had been forced to grow up too quickly. This darkness, they said, was something he could never quite escape, no matter how far he ran. Others spoke of a deep-seated anger, a simmering rage that seemed to lurk just beneath the surface. It was as if he was constantly at war with himself, battling emotions that threatened to consume him. This anger, they believed, was the source of his isolation, the reason he kept others at arm's length. Axel lived a life of contradictions. He was a man of few words, yet his silence spoke volumes. He was both gentle and fierce, a man who could be kind one moment and distant the next. These contradictions made him a puzzle that no one could quite solve. He could be seen strolling along the beach, seemingly lost in thought, his face etched with a melancholic beauty. The sea seemed to call to him, its endless horizon a mirror of his own restless soul. In these moments he appeared almost serene, a man at peace with his solitude. Yet there were moments when his eyes would flash with an unsettling intensity, his hands clenching into fists as if battling unseen demons. It was in these moments that the townspeople saw a glimpse of the turmoil that lay beneath his calm exterior. He was a talented artist, his sketches capturing the raw beauty of the coastline with a haunting precision. His art was his escape, a way to express the emotions he could not put into words. Each stroke of his pencil was a window into his soul, revealing a depth of feeling that he kept hidden from the world. But his art often reflected the turmoil within him, his canvases filled with swirling brushstrokes of anger and despair. It was as if he was trying to exorcise his demons through his work, to find some semblance of peace in the chaos of his mind. Axel Rudakubana was a puzzle, his motives and desires as elusive as the man himself. He was a mystery that the people of Southport could not unravel, a man who lived on the fringes of their world, forever out of reach. And perhaps that was exactly how he wanted it to be. The day began like any other in Southport. The small coastal town, known for its serene beaches and friendly community, was waking up to another beautiful day. The air was crisp, and the scent of the ocean lingered in the breeze. The sun rose over the horizon, casting a warm glow on the tranquil seaside town. The golden rays of the morning sun kissed the rooftops and gently illuminated the streets, promising a day filled with possibilities. The victim, a young musician named Liam, woke with a melody in his heart. His dreams had been filled with music, and he felt an overwhelming sense of inspiration as he opened his eyes to the new day. He had a gig at a local pub that evening, and was eager to share his music with the world. The thought of performing in front of an audience filled him with excitement and a touch of nervousness. Liam spent his morning rehearsing, his fingers dancing over the strings of his guitar, his voice filling the room with a soulful melody. Each note he played resonated with his passion and dedication to his craft. He was oblivious to the darkness that was about to descend upon his life. The day seemed perfect, and he had no reason to suspect that anything could go wrong. Meanwhile, Axel Rudakubana awoke with a sense of foreboding. His night had been restless, plagued by dark thoughts and unresolved anger. The morning light did little to lift the heavy weight on his chest. The anger that had been simmering within him for months had reached a boiling point. Every slight, every perceived injustice had built up inside him like a pressure cooker ready to explode. Driven by a potent cocktail of resentment and despair, he left his small flat and headed towards the pub where Liam was scheduled to perform. His mind was a whirlwind of emotions, each step he took fueled by a burning desire for retribution. As the day wore on, their paths would tragically intersect. The sun began its descent, casting long shadows over the town, and the anticipation of the evening's events grew stronger. Liam, filled with the joy of music, set up his equipment on the pub's small stage, his heart filled with anticipation. He carefully tuned his guitar, adjusted the microphone, and took a deep breath, ready to pour his soul into his performance. Axel, consumed by his inner demons, watched from the shadows, his eyes burning with a malevolent intensity. The pub's dim lighting cast eerie shadows on his face, reflecting the turmoil within him. The stage was set for a night that would change everything. The discovery of Liam's body sent shockwaves through the quiet town of Southport. The pub, usually alive with the sounds of laughter and music, was now an eerie crime scene, shrouded in mystery. The air, thick with the smell of stale beer and fear, was punctuated by the hushed whispers of police officers and the frantic cries of Liam's loved ones. The brutal nature of the crime left an indelible mark on the town's psyche, haunting everyone. This was not a random act of violence but a calculated and cold-blooded murder planned meticulously. As the initial shock subsided, a collective desire for answers swept through Southport, uniting the community. Who could have committed such a heinous act, and why? And why Liam, a young man who seemed to possess an inexhaustible supply of kindness and optimism, was targeted? The rumor mill went into overdrive, fueled by speculation and fear, spreading like wildfire. Some whispered of a jealous rival, others of a scorned lover seeking revenge. But as the days turned into nights, the question of who killed Liam remained unanswered, leaving the community to grapple with a chilling truth.